We're going to introduce ourselves real quick. I'm Melissa Fisher.
I'm Cassidy Edwards.
It's Corey Maloof.
And I'm Garrett Cook, and this is our Clark Junior Medical Team. Now, I'd just like to say thank you to the distinguished guests out here, and I'm very honored, and so is my team, to be here, and I'd like to give a special thanks to the DLR group and the TASB for organizing this and letting us have the wonderful experience that we've had so far. Now, we've directed our Innovation Challenge in the direction towards a chronic and often fatal disease that is called lung cancer. Now, the reason behind this is because we as a group have all experienced some form that might give us a scare as to lung cancer, because there are smokers in our families or past smokers that have a higher chance of getting it than someone, say, who never smoked before. So this gave us the idea, maybe if we've come up with a plausible cure and our loved ones get it in the future, then maybe we could be able to save them and keep our loved ones for a longer amount of time. Now, can I get a show of hands as to whose families have been affected by lung cancer in their lives? Just take a look around. As you can see, there are a lot of hands up, at least half of you. This shows that it's a very prominent thing in our society and it needs to be addressed. Lung cancer is caused by carcinogens, which are cancer-causing things, such as smoking, environmental pollutants, genetics, and radiation. It is fatal if not caught in the early stages, such as stage 1 or stage 2. Stage 3 and 4 are usually whenever it is too late to do anything. So the big key here is finding a way to do this in the early stages. Next slide. Now, since 2012, over 200,000 people were diagnosed with lung cancer. Almost about 50% of them were men and about 50% of them were women. This means that you have an equal chance either gender. And over 150,000 people perished from lung cancer. Now, next slide please. There's a 54% survival rate as well. As you can see up here in this chart, that lung cancer and bronchus cancer have killed more than all of these three cancers. Pancreas, breast, and colon. And this doesn't really show in the research funding because lung cancer is actually less funded than breast cancer. And we also, whenever we went to the convention center, we met this wonderful business called Tech Labs. They're an innovative group that works specifically on 3D models and stuff like that. And we talked with them, and they showed us a really great representation of the respiratory system. But we tried to set it up in here, and they couldn't get it to work because of technical difficulties. So I'd just like to give a thank you anyways for the effort that they put in and just mention them. So stop by if you ever see them. Now I'm going to hand it off to Corey Maloof, who's going to tell you about the two people addressed in our problem statement.
Now, we've been addressed with two people in our problem statement, and both in very different situations in their life. Our first man is of age 72, they're both living in 2025. Our first man is of age 72, living in Houston, Texas, living in poverty. Here's a poverty rate.
Short stuff, use the pointer.
This is a map of poverty that shows that many parts of Houston, Texas are above 35% of poverty. That means 35% of people in many parts of Houston are living in poverty right now. Now, since he's living in poverty, we would assume that he is living off of some government programs like Medicare or maybe welfare or Social Security. And just to show that how under budgeted this lung cancer research is, in 2008, $247.6 million were spent on lung cancer. This is in 2008. Well, that might seem like a lot of money compared to others that have not had as much of a death ratio, have been budgeted way more. Like breast cancer. Every one person who dies from breast cancer gets $19,000 donated to research. And every one person who dies from lung cancer gets $1,800. And you saw that graph about how lung cancer clearly had way more deaths than breast cancer and many others. Now, This guy is age 72, and he's a male. So that's I got it. So it's a blue one, and so it's not quite at the peak. So, but it does show that there are many people his age in his scenario that would have lung cancer. So the odds are not necessarily in his favor. Our next man that we have been presented with is of age 28, and he is living in Athens, Greece, living of means. So treatment options wouldn't be limited as far as money goes. On this table, or on this graph, it shows that Greece has almost a 50%, over there, has almost a 50% rate of smokers in that country. 1 out of 2 people. That is a lot. Compared to the U.S., which is only 20%. They're the most out of all of European countries. So he would have a private health insurance because he does not qualify for any government programs like a Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. He's too young and his income is too high. And Greece has well under budgeted lung cancer just as much as America. They have gone through a crisis to where they can't really put much money aside, and that has really put a lot towards this, considering all of their circumstances and how many would have lung cancer in that country. And now I'm going to hand this over to Cassidy Edwards to talk and elaborate more on lung cancer.
So lung cancer is a very serious thing for anybody, and if you look here, this is what is most likely is stage 4 lung cancer, and at this point, the treatments you would be undergoing are typically to improve your quality of life, not necessarily cure the cancer. There are 4 main causes for lung cancer. One would be smoking. Not only first-hand smoking, but second-hand smoking also plays a major role in this. Second would be medical imaging, such as CT scans, MRIs, X-rays, things like that. In fact, CT scans have 100 times more radiation than X-rays, which can weaken your cells, allowing them to become cancerous. The third would be genetics, which would be where your DNA makes it to where you're more susceptible to cancerous cells and not able to fight them off as well. And the fourth would be pollution, which is very bad for you, and it gets into your lungs and creates these cancerous cells. This would be the amount of people who get cancer based on if they've smoked, never smoked, or are former smokers, which would be if you have already smoked and quit smoking. Now, if you'll please get your envelopes and open them. If you have a red X on your index card, please stand up. I'm sorry to tell you, but you have been diagnosed with lung cancer. Please sit down. 1 in every 15 people are diagnosed with lung cancer. The survival rate between 1995 and 2005 was 18%. Present day is 50%. So sadly, one of you will most likely not make it. Our hopes are that our solution will bring this survival rate up to 75%. The reasons why our survival rates have risen so much is because, 1, our smoking percentage of people who smoke has decreased dramatically. What used to be over 30% of our population smoking has now become to 20% and quickly dropping. Another thing would be the technology improvements we have had, such as electric cars so that there's not as much pollution in the air, and us being able to detect it earlier to be able to remove it before it becomes into the stages 3 and 4. There are a lot of treatments nowadays, but most of them are not effective or are too expensive. 4 of these would be chemotherapy, radiation, immunotherapy, and surgery. Radiation is very expensive. It's $2,000 per month, and normally you have to take multiple months worth of treatment in order to get rid of this cancer. Chemotherapy is $30,000 over an 8-week period. This is typically all of the treatment you have to use along with surgery over the 8-week period, but it does cost a lot. Another thing would be immunotherapy, which is where they're trying to build up your immune system to try and fight against this cancer. And that's typically very expensive too. And the surgery tends to go along with chemotherapy because chemotherapy does not destroy cancer, it actually just stops it. And with all of these, there are many side effects such as fatigue, nausea, depression, anxiety, changes in skin color, and constipation, and things along that line. Now I'm going to hand it over to Alyssa, who will further elaborate on our solution and what we have come up with.
I'm pleased to tell you that we believe we have created a revolutionary method of screening. Our idea is to create a microchip that will be inserted into your forearm, and the main idea of this device is to detect any foreign cell structures that may form inside your body. We hope that it would alert you and that this early detection would increase survival rates. Hopefully we will be able to catch it in either stage 1 or stage 2, which they would also be surgically operable in that time. We have also created a 3-pronged method, which we've called SCSC. It uses stem cells, cryotherapy, and seeds. We will combine each of these treatments into one small seed pod and inject it directly into the tumor. Cryotherapy is using liquid nitrogen to deteriorate the cancerous cells inside of the tumor. Next slide. Please direct your attention to the screen and watch this short video.
We're going to start from the middle as to not waste your time. What's happening right now is they cut out a section of bone from someone who has bone cancer, and they have put it inside of a jar of liquid nitrogen as to kill the cancer cells. And once this is done, they're going to replace it back inside of the body so that it can be repaired by our cells and rework it. So what this is showing right now is that this is a possible way to do it. And that's the gist we wanted y'all to get out of that. Next slide.
So, before the video, you saw stem cells. Okay. Stem cells are actually neutral cells found in bone marrow that do not have or serve a purpose yet. So, we would like to direct their purpose to kill the cancer or the cancer cells. And this is actually $10,000 per treatment, but it can also be used to cure neurotoxins, which we will talk about later. The next thing is the seeds that we talked about. We want to combine all two of these treatments that we talked about into these small seeds that will be injected directly into the tumor. And we're not using radiation. We wanted to avoid radiation because radiation is harmful to the healthy cells as well. So we wanted to avoid anything that would, make you even sicker than what you would need to be. This is actually $6,000 per year at most. So it's not as expensive as other treatments that are common right now. Next slide. We estimate the cost to be around $16,000 for our treatment. This may prove to be a little bit difficult from the man living in Houston, considering that he does not have a steady income coming in. So we would like to talk to the World Health Organization and try to discuss some funding, see if we can get their help.
And now we're going to head over to the problem statement that we were given yesterday, was it? Yesterday. We were given it yesterday. We had to collaborate with the other groups and come together to solve this problem statement. Now, I'd just like to say I'm sorry that we did not say our original problem statement. That's because it was his job, this man right here. But as you can see, he's at a little loss for words. So he can't really talk. So I blame that on him. But our original problem statement, just to get it out of the way real quick, is medical science is improving lives, yet new circumstances surrounding immune viruses and chronic diseases demand that scientists develop new innovations to address mutations and evolutions. Find a way to address the virus or disease of your choice such that it would equally improve the quality of life of a 72-year-old man living in poverty in Houston, Texas, and a 28-year-old man living of means in Athens, Greece in 2025. So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to talk about the other problem statement that we got for the neurotoxin. This is in 2040, terrorists have tainted our money, the way we create our currency, have tainted the formula to where there's a neurotoxin inside of it. Now, this neurotoxin, it was our job to identify it and find a possible cure if there was none, and if there was, to reinvent it to make it better. So we identified it as a turtle toxin, right? Turtle toxin? Yeah, let's go with turtle toxin. It's a geology toxin, something like that.
Tetrodotoxin.
Exactly. That's what he was supposed to say as well. The point of the neurotoxin is it comes from tree frogs that are found in the Amazon. They also come from pufferfish. So our original idea was to just take the stuff out of them and create antibodies, but we kind of come up with a better solution than that. We saw what we did for lung cancer with the microchip and early detection, and we thought, wait, maybe there's a way we can connect this back. So we saw that we could use the microchip to detect foreign cells, such as the neurotoxin. So this neurotoxin could be detected, and the microchip would then send a sensor or something like that to release our anti-agent or neutralizing agent or something along those lines to where it would nullify the effects of the neurotoxin. The reason we did this so early is because the symptoms set on about 30 minutes to 3 hours after you come into contact or ingest this. So it was of the essence. Time was of the essence. We had to do it really quick. Next slide. And that is pretty much in conclusion. I'd like to hand it back to Cassidy Edwards, who will finish it off for us.
So, as you can see, we have come up with a solution that we feel will benefit both the men living in poverty or whether you are rich. And we feel that this will benefit them. And if we ever came across the problem of having our money tainted, we feel that this would be an effective way to prevent people from getting sick or to be able to get cured in time. Once again, we'd like to thank the DLR group for giving us the opportunity to come out here and present, and for everyone who spent their time to come in and see us. Thank you.
And last but not least, I'd like to let him say a couple words. All right. All right, that's all.